Welcome to Am I Mental, the Doctors in Court edition. This is case number 3, and my name is Dr. Sabine Fonderson. Welcome and thank you for listening. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the case of the gynecologist who ended things. A patient is on her 8th pregnancy, and she sues a hospital and the gynecology department because the specialist ended a treatment contract with her. Now, this case is the real definition of a snowball effect. One thing leads to another to the point that the pregnant patient sues a hospital and for a spectacular fee of 10,000 euros a day for every day that the hospital or the gynecology department do not provide her with the care she needs. I mean, is that even possible? I'll get to the judge's decisions in a minute, but let's go from the start because this is really an impressive court case. The pregnant patient at the time was on her 8th pregnancy. She had delivered previously 7 times at the same hospital. During her 6th pregnancy, she was handed over to a new gynecologist. So a new gynecologist took over her care, and we'll call that gynecologist Dr. G. The pregnancy, along with all the other pregnancies, like number 7 and number 8, were under the care of Dr. G. During the 8th pregnancy, for reasons that are not disclosed in court, Dr. G had filed a complaint to Child Protection Services regarding concerns Dr. G had about the safety of the children in the care of pregnant patients. Following the child protection complaint, pregnant patient filed a complaint letter against Dr. G, and as you can imagine, this led to a breach of trust between both parties. Then we fast forward to January 2023. Pregnant patient attends the same hospital to visit a midwife regarding her 9th pregnancy. She is 24 weeks pregnant at the time, and during that consultation with the midwife, she notes that in the patient's file, the patient did not agree or consent to have a follow-up consultation, which is the 28th week consultation with Dr. G. But then a month later, she's 28 weeks pregnant and she needs a follow-up appointment. She had requested to have one with another gynecologist, and to her knowledge, that was going to be taken care of. So she attends the hospital for a 28th week checkup, and to her surprise and her amazement, she's taken aback when the same doctor, Dr. G, the same doctor who she had filed a complaint against because of the child abuse case that was filed on her, actually comes to the waiting room and calls her into her clinic office. This is the same doctor she explicitly did not want to see nor deal with. Dr. G called her name, and pregnant patient and her husband who was with her refused to be consulted by Dr. G. And right there and then, in the waiting room, a full-blown discussion ensued. Words and accusations were thrown left and right, so much so that Dr. G refused to care for the patients at that time and would later declare and reveal that she was no longer welcome to the department. Dr. G also said that none of the other gynecologists in that department would be able to care for the pregnant patient. 4 days later, the pregnant patient files yet another and a second complaint against Dr. G, but this time she files a complaint to the whole department. She claims the following: "Well, I was told I would see another gynecologist, and not this one. I didn't want to see her. And after reviewing my notes, it turns out that Dr. G herself made the appointment with me, and she changed the appointment. Plus, when I declined to be seen by her at the waiting office, she kept insisting and pressured me to follow her into her office whilst we were standing right there in the waiting room. Then she said I would no longer receive care by her, nor any other female gynecologist in the department, and I had to go and find another hospital." And lastly, Dr. G said this was the decision made by the entire gynecology department, whilst that was not necessary, nor was there, at least to my knowledge, ever a case where I needed a new appointment with her. I need to make a new appointment, and shortly after the waiting room incident, I received a message from the hospital that my appointment had been cancelled. And indeed, one day after the whole blown event in the waiting room, the hospital cancelled every single appointment she had at that hospital at the gynecology department. One day after the pregnant patient filed the complaint, she was invited to discuss her complaint with the manager, the president of the Federation of Obs and Gynae, and she also received a letter from the hospital director with a decision and arguments for the hospital to terminate their care. They argue the following: pregnant patient refused to be seen by the gynecologist, and pregnant patient refused not to want to be seen by a male gynecologist. The hospital was therefore not able to give her appropriate care, hence, there's no reason for us to continue treating her. We have noticed that due to previous complaints, there has been a breach of trust, and we are no longer able to provide care. Also, given the fact that she has demands and limitations that are imposed by a pregnant patient, leads us to the conclusion that the department or the hospital will safely be able to care for patient, and therefore we found it justified to our end to stop treatment. Well, the next day, a pregnant patient responded to the letter, and she did so with a lawyer. She claimed she did not impose any limits or restrictions to her care. Although in the past she had requested a female gynecologist out of a preference, she had been treated and cared for in the past by a male gynecologist who in fact delivered some of the eighth birth that she had at the hospital. And just under a week later, pregnant patient received a letter from the hospital stating that their decision was final. No more care. Full stop. Go somewhere else. It's over, basically. Well, I am really kind of paraphrasing here, obviously, but this case is amazing. It's like, how can it get so far? So, did pregnant patient think it was over? Well, absolutely not. On two separate occasions in March 2023, she ended up speaking to more gynecologists, more heads of staffs and managers and legal representatives of the hospital, and the same conclusion was reached. They said, "We will no longer provide you with a treatment, and therefore we end our patient-doctor relationship with you." To which the pregnant patient responded with, again, her lawyer, and they filed a summons, 10,000 euros per day for every day that the hospital would not or could not give her the appropriate care that she wanted and needed. And they also made sure that if and when this case went to court, the hospital was going to be liable to pay for her court fees. So what did the hospital do? They rebutted with an answer. Well, they did not end the patient-doctor relationship. They basically said, well, she refused to be seen or cared by Dr. G on that day in the waiting room. So actually, she was the one who ended the patient-doctor relationship. I mean, what are the main issues here? Number one, is there at all, or is there any patient-doctor relationship? According to the judges, there is absolutely a patient-doctor relationship, and it actually started on the first day she saw the midwife for her 24-week ultrasound. Plus, she has a history of a relationship dating back to 9 years prior when she was pregnant with baby number 1, and she delivered there already 8 times. Number 2, was the hospital legally allowed to terminate the care they were supposed to provide to the pregnant patient? Well, despite the fact that the hospital claimed and used the breach of trust as an excuse or reason to end things, it is not strong enough of a motivation or argument, according to the judges, to terminate a relationship between a patient and the care team. Even though the hospital exclaimed that Dr. G and the entire gynecology staff felt threatened and intimidated by the pregnant patient and her husband during the waiting room incident. And the judges find that despite the emotions that occurred during that awful incident, they understand that the reaction of the pregnant lady was that she was caught off guard and she had expected another doctor, so it would seem normal that she would react the way she did because she was now being seen by Dr. G, the same doctor she had explicitly in the past said she did not want to see anymore. Because remember, it was the same doctor who filed a child abuse case against her when she was pregnant with child number 8. So, yes, the breach of trust had occurred between Dr. G and the pregnant patient, but according to the judges, it was not between the patient and the entire gynecology department, nor the patient and the entire hospital. And so, despite that incident, way before the incident, there had been various gynecologists that had assisted her during the pregnancies, and there were no issues at the time. There were no problems. So the judges reiterate that the fact and the fact that there is a breach of trust is due to challenges in the communication between the plaintiff, the pregnant patient, and the doctor with whom she explicitly did not want to speak to, Dr. G. But despite this, there were no grounds for the hospital to deny a pregnant patient of care, and the judges ordered the hospital to treat the patient. And as for the 10,000 euro a day fee, well, the judges threw that out of the window, straight out. Even though Dr. G wanted to end things, the plaintiff got what she wanted: care. Complete, full attention to her during her pregnancy by the gynecology department, by the hospital. I really enjoyed this case because it highlighted to me how what I said in the beginning, that snowball effect. So something must have happened between Dr. G and the pregnant patient when she was pregnant for the 8th time. And we don't know, unfortunately, we don't know what the case was, because a lot of times when it comes to child abuse accusations, all those things are really kept private. So we won't really know what was the claim there. But it seems that there was definitely a breach of trust. There was a lack of relationship building between Dr. G and the patient. And I wonder why, when she had explicitly said that she no longer wanted to be seen by Dr. G, and it was even written in the notes to the point where the midwife saw it, I wonder how it came that on the follow up appointment, Dr. G was the one who called her into the clinic room. Now, in my case, if a patient doesn't want to see me, and it's happened, there are patients where you just don't click with somebody, and it can happen. I don't take it personally. I think it's important to talk about it with your colleagues, and I definitely think it's important to talk about it with the patients themselves and let them give you the opportunity to express themselves about why they feel they don't trust you or they don't feel comfortable with you. It's really important to do that. So I feel in this case, had Dr. G and maybe the staff taken the time to really understand what it was and why she explicitly did not want to see her, then these events could have been, prevented. And the judges are completely right. If the same patient has delivered 8 times in the hospital and she's seen various gynecologists and there has not been any issues in the past, then you can't really base one incident like this and generalize that to all the gynecology department. So obviously the case has already been ruled, and the judges definitely ruled in favor of the plaintiff. But again, this is a great example of why it's important to deal with issues as soon as possible, have the conversations. And if a patient is adamant they don't want you to be part of their treatment team, it's their right, and you need to, as a doctor, recluse yourself and step away. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that. I'd rather have another colleague take care of the patient and do things in a way that runs smoothly for both parties than have to struggle and have to build a relationship over again when that trust is broken. Sometimes once it's broken, it's broken. If you enjoy these podcast on doctors in court, please let me know in the show notes. I want to tell you that all these court cases are real, and I have taken some of the information on the reports that have been written in medical journals and created the story. The lessons learned here is that if it gets to the point that you feel the relationship between you and your patient is broken down, talk about it, find a group, find another doctor, a mentor to discuss how to best handle it. The worst thing you want to do is to let it escalate and snowball into something bigger, just like in this case. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.